How are you doing? I'm still finishing the cooking for tonight, and I'm gonna eat on mute to respect the
Okay.
listeners.
Okay, cool. What are you cooking?
I have no idea how to say that in English. I'm just gonna say filet de porc with légumes grillés.
All right. I'm cooking too. I think probably a bunch of people are doing the same. I'm doing some baking some chicken and potatoes, russet potatoes. How about that? Robert, what'd you have for dinner today?
We're probably gonna have fish and chips. Yeah.
Fish and chips. Nice. Uzi is coming up, connecting now. Robert, what do you think was the biggest news of the week on the AI front?
Oh man, Meta just lost a key employee who went to OpenAI to run robots or work on the robot team over there. Real interesting. They go together like peanut butter and jelly.
So you think OpenAI is going to compete with Optimus?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Uh,
Figure is using OpenAI and has a partnership, and OpenAI is building their own robot team and staffing it up. So here
okay,
we
Uzi,
go.
did you hear that? Uzi.
Hello, sorry, my app was crashing.
Yeah, the app is all crappy today, just like any other day. Lots of bugs. Did you hear what Robert just said? Robert said that OpenAI just recruited somebody out of Meta and to lead their robotics division.
No, I just heard. Wow. Did you see the video from Meta Robotics? Seems like they're getting in the race. I don't think they're making humanoids.
Robert, what do you think?
Yes, they are.
So we're gonna have a bunch of humanoids then.
Oh yes, it's the big new product. Elon's right. This is the biggest product of the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Michelle, what do you think?
When even Boston Dynamics, they used to be the ones showing off their robot acrobatics, but it was all heuristics, mostly. What do you think? And now they have this new robot they showed off this week. That's like moving parts from like one part of the factory to the other. Like that's the future. But like it's the first time we saw a clip of a humanoid robot freaking out, and that's explains how every company is super tight-lipped and super like media tight, and how brave it was for Tesla to have the Optimus walking around people, because he was taking the robot, it was taking apart and it was trying to put it in a tight like shelf, and it didn't fit, and it kind of freaked out and like yanked it out really quick. And like you can imagine how if a human is nearby and a robot overreacts, it can injure people. There's a big safety aspect when you have these humanoids in close proximity with other humans, so they don't freak out and break your arms by just like yanking or like overreacting.
Safety
Michelle,
is a huge problem. Yes.
yeah, Michelle, does the news that OpenAI is starting to work on a humanoid worry you as a Tesla investor?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, earlier today in the Tesla Live space, we discussed how um, one of the advantage that Tesla has against Boston Dynamics is its GPU cluster and able to train a brain. And OpenAI obviously has access to, NVIDIA's and Microsoft's Azure and Figure AI. So I guess, how does this work? So OpenAI has a partnership with Figure AI too, Robert, right? So I guess they're going to compete with that as well.
That's an interesting problem for Sam Altman to figure out. Yes.
Yeah, and Microsoft has its own team working on internal AI projects as well. So they're all partnering and competing with each other at the same time. Uzi?
So if Altman is using, oh no, if Adcock is using the OpenAI LLM within the Figure robot, then what's the point of servicing Figure if you're Sam Altman? It just seems like he'll be cut out. Adcock will be cut out within like a year.
Interesting. Robert, what do you think?
Oh man, what would I be doing if I was running strategy? Yeah, I think that's a legitimate problem for Brett, that he's going to get cut out because if let's say Figure and OpenAI comes out in 2027 with a humanoid robot, who are you going to choose between just those two? I would choose OpenAI every single time.
Especially if you're used to using ChatGPT on a
What
daily basis.
and think about Disneyland. Disneyland, I could see 1,000 robots being deployed in Disneyland alone. Are they going to go with Figure, or are they going to go with OpenAI, or are they going to go with Tesla, or are they going to go with Boston Dynamics? All of a sudden, I'm having to consider OpenAI. you know.
Yeah. Well, this is interesting development for sure. Um, if you're listening to this on X, please head over to the YouTube channel through the link at the top of our screens and give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. Help us grow so that we can continue to bring this space and other spaces to you. It's very important that you do so. Give that video a like and subscribe to the channel. Michelle.
Well, it's no stranger to OpenAI to welcome developers to use their APIs and then kill their product by releasing themselves. So like we've seen it with like PDF readers, and then all of a sudden they come out with like, oh, you can just upload a PDF directly, and then all of these startups kind of were wrecked by this. But it's also like, my feeling is that Figure AI is just like using the API, and they had some sort of agreement that they could openly use the trademark and like say, oh, this is powered by ChatGPT. And maybe it's a non-compete, to not have like the monopoly eventually. Like they could defend themselves by saying like, look, we're giving this capabilities to other manufacturer. Long term, it makes me think that if it's safe and efficient for everyone, Tesla would license FSD to other car manufacturers. So like OpenAI would license their brain part, or at least their conversation part, to other humanoid robots. So people figure out their robotics, but their brain and like the interface you talk with would be powered by OpenAI.
Thank you, Michelle. And Robert tweeted about an hour ago about Caitlin Kalinowski. Caitlin announced that she's delighted to share that she's joined OpenAI to lead robotics and consumer hardware. She says in her new role, she will continue initially focus on OpenAI's robotics work and partnerships to help bring AI into the physical world and unlock its benefits for humanity. Wow, that's amazing. I mean, that's a direct competition for Tesla. We're going to talk about this more in tomorrow's Tesla Live. And Robert retweeted it and said she ran Meta's Orion spatial computing glasses. Glasses and robots go together like peanut butter and jelly. Robert says, very interesting. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, it's not just for training. Teleoperation is how we're going to train robots to do a whole bunch of things, and already are. This is a major feature, even 20, 50 years from now. Teleoperation is going to be a major feature. Embodying yourself inside a humanoid robot and walking around is going to be a big feature. For instance, I'm going to Spain tomorrow. If I had a humanoid robot in my house, I'd be bringing my Apple Vision. Well, I'm bringing my Apple Vision Pro to Spain. Well, I could dive into the robot and chase the kids around, or cook them dinner, or talk with them or check in on them, help them with their homework, all from Spain.
Thank you, Robert. Robert, does this continue as a Tesla investor? Does this make you think for a second that maybe you should lighten up on Tesla stock?
Not at all. I think Tesla is still the dominant player here for a lot of reasons. Um, you know, they have all the key pieces. So does OpenAI have a lot of the key pieces, but Tesla has. Here's one way to look at it. Let's assume OpenAI actually won and beat Optimus and just creamed it, right? How does it get to your house? How does it get around the world? How do you send it to the store? A Tesla. OpenAI doesn't have a transportation network, so even if this world happens, it's a huge win for Tesla, and I don't see them losing.
Very interesting. This is a very interesting topic. All right, Uzi and then Michelle.
Well, I'll let Michelle go because I might be off a little bit in my statement.
No, go ahead,
Like,
Uzi. That's fine. You don't have to when I call on you, you don't have to pass it on to other people.
All right. Well, I do think that the next frontier or the next signal with humanoids will be if we have a humanoid used in Ukraine. There's already the robo dogs that look like the Boston Dynamic four-legged ones, and I assume you have teleoperation. You can send a humanoid into a war front, and that might not be a Tesla, but that might be in some weird way an OpenAI or someone else that is interested in that.
Okay, great. Michelle?
well, to follow up what Robert said, it's not much like the delivery, but like as soon as they come up with this amazing prototype and they go like, "Oh wow, we have an incredible product." I hope Figure AI CEO finished reading his book on manufacturing, and all of these other guys are gonna have to figure out how to come up with the machine that builds the machine. But like these people at Tesla building Optimus, they're thinking at manufacturing because they've been through hell several times in designing a product and then having to figure out how to manufacturing after the fact. Now they've been bit before, and I'm pretty sure they're building this bot with every nuts and bolts designed to be mass manufactured at huge scales.
Having the factory is a huge advantage too, because everybody in the world knows Tesla is way ahead of everybody else other than the Chinese in manufacturing innovation. So having a humanoid robot in the factory sets it apart from OpenAI. Who is OpenAI's big customer that's going to put their robot in their warehouse or in their factory or in Disneyland?
Uzi?
Well, to Robert's question, I think that there'll certainly be a huge customers, probably in an industrial setting for OpenAI's bot. I just caught the beginning of Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz's podcast they just put on X, and they were saying, like in the intro, they were saying how at best for the supply chain, and this goes into manufacturing, we'd be relying on friends, but it seems like the base case is that we might be relying on China, and they frame them as an adversary in this manufacturing war. But I do think the hardest part won't be manufacturing at scale. I think it's the brain.
But OpenAI already understands everything in the world from a picture, so I assume OpenAI is going to get there on the AI front. I think they don't have a manufacturing background, so we're going to have to watch who they partner with to make this thing. And they don't have a real high-end robotic brand like Tesla does. We all understand, Tesla is an AI robotics company. My car is a robot, and that gives them a huge advantage in brand and distribution because they can get another robot to my house cheaper than Uber or FedEx or any shipping company or any transportation as a service company.
Michelle?
Well, in the idea I was having earlier, about OpenAI licensing their brain to Figure AI and other humanoid robots versus doing their own. The analogy I have in mind is like, is OpenAI going to be just like Microsoft puts out Windows and they also make the Surface devices, or are they going to be closed like Apple is, where they have their OS that only works on their devices, but Apple doesn't actually really manufacture it. So they design the OS, they design the hardware, and they put the manufacturing responsibility on the partner.
Okay, so Robert says we can't wrap this up. We have other things to talk about too, and I only have about an hour and a half today. So Robert says that Tesla, even though OpenAI has many of the critical pieces of the puzzle, Tesla is the only one that has um, the full spectrum of pieces, the full set of pieces, from developing the brain to manufacturing expertise, and great focus by its leader and the team. Is that fair, Robert?
Yeah. There also will be a number 2 and a number 3 in this market, even if Tesla is the dramatic winner. There's just, for instance, Elon told Disney's CEO to fuck off, right? I doubt Disney's going to want to buy a lot of Tesla robots. They're going to be looking closely at the competition, and I could see a competition coming. The Windows idea, though, is a real interesting one to unpack, because there's a lot of robots in the world that are not humanoid. I've seen lawn mowing robots, all sorts of landscaping robots from like Electric Sheep Company. Um, there's snow blowing robots, glass cleaning robots, vacuuming robots. A lot of us have vacuuming robots in our house already, right? And there's many other kinds of specialized robots. And I would expect there to be an explosion of specialized robots, like maybe an arm you put over your sink to help you wash dishes or something like that. Um, Having an operating system that's generalizable would make it so that OpenAI could license that to all these other robot companies that are trying to build interesting products themselves.
Okay, thank you, Robert. So, Robert, let me just ask you before we turn over. Let's say in 2030, what percent of the humanoid fleet in the world is Tesla versus OpenAI versus Figure AI and others?
I'm saying 80% Tesla.
80% Tesla.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay. Wow.
because
That's amazing.
I assume he's gonna get there with the AI because he's Elon. Number 2.
So let me ask you something. So is OpenAI, they just hired a person from Meta to lead the program? I guess are they just starting, even though Tesla has been at this for a couple of years now?
No, they had somebody else about a year ago, so that the strategy probably is fairly long way along. Um, this just is a further gassing up, and it's a dramatic hire. It gets my attention because Caitlin rocks.
Oh, you know her already. What do you
Yeah,
know
I met
about her?
her a few years ago.
Mhm.
She's very well respected inside the company. She understands how to manage people, and she's an innovator, and she understands where the future is going. So, yeah, she's been building augmented reality devices for a long time, and these are all joined. Adrian Kaler, who ran the computer vision system for the first Stanford car, which became the Waymo company down the street, down the line. He ran a piece of that. He also ran a core piece of Magic Leap augmented reality glasses, and he also was building a half humanoid robot at a company that now is gone. But he says they're all the same. He says the skills to make one work are the same, are very similar skills, if not the same.
Okay, thank you, Robert. All right, let's switch topics. Thank you very much, everybody. That was a great first 20 minutes on OpenAI hiring a Meta engineer to lead the robotics division. So potential competition for Tesla Optimus that we can dig into further in tomorrow's Tesla Live. Okay. Michelle, what do you think was the next biggest news of the week?
Lots of O1 not preview, like full
Well,
O1 rumors.
but here's the thing though, like before full O1, Sam Altman's already talking about O2. Did you see that O2 scores?
But that means they're
100
done with O1, right?
Right. Yeah. So O2 is going to come out in a few months, I'm assuming, right?
A few thousand days, is that what Sam says, instead of like 2 weeks?
A few thousand days. I mean, yeah. So what did you make of that tweet that Sam sent that O2 performs? Let's see. O2 gets 105% on GPQA. What do you make of that?
It's a wink at superhuman capabilities, because like you can get close to 100%, but like 105 is like beyond human capabilities. It's a
I
little
think I think
inside joke.
O1 already performs above expert level on the GPQAs, if I remember correctly, right? So O2 is off the benchmark. Like you're gonna need new benchmarks type of thing. So that's a hell of a. I think O1 scored what about? I think about 70%. Maybe Robert can clarify. Robert.
I forget the exact evaluation scores. I don't pay too much attention to those other than the learning that's going on and how fast each of these models is learning.
Okay, what did you have to say?
I'm watching Anthropic on the big models. One of the reasons I follow 25,000 people in the AI space is to see patterns across groups of people. And I see a lot of people saying, man, Claude is given better answers and is easier to deal with. On the other hand, most developers are still using GPT as their back end that I see. I saw another company today.
Okay, so you don't have any thoughts on O1 non-preview coming soon or O2 from ChatGPT?
No, I just
Did you
it's
did you
between.
give up on ChatGPT, Robert?
No,
Did you
I'm
give up on
using
OpenAI?
I think the argument is for me as a consumer person, is changing to who has the best voice features, who has the best vision features. And I think everything is gonna get caught. Everybody's gonna catch up to OpenAI. Then it's about what does it do for you, and you've seen OpenAI come out with Canvas, which helps developers build applications. That's the kind of thing. That's the kind of innovation I would expect to see. I sent you the real news, the news that caught both me and Dylan, who's a researcher at Unity, was Runway's new advanced camera control and their new model. They leapfrogged everybody in the visual space. And you started the show by talking about robots. That's where we're going. We're going to a 3D computing world, a spatial computing world, where you're wearing a device on your eyes. We're getting jacked in if you have a Neuralink someday. And you're working with a robot and you're driving in a robot, right? And there's little tiny robots all around doing various things like vacuuming your floors or doing various other things, cleaning your glass. That's where we're going. That's why Elon's excited about this as a product category, because he knows that unlocks a lot of value that he doesn't have access to with just a car. For instance, uh, I went to Consumer Electronics Show 25 times, saw a lot of robots in the early days, one of which was a glass cleaning robot from China. But to clean, like just in front of me, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just in my door, I have 8 different pieces of glass. So I'd have to take that robot off of one piece, put it on one piece of glass, let it clean it, then take it off, put it on a second piece, let it clean that. A humanoid robot doesn't give a fuck about having to do that for to clean a house. So they can charge, you know, $50 to clean all the windows in your house with an Optimus style or humanoid robot. who would bring the robot to your house, put it on the glass, and start cleaning the glass. And that unlocks a lot of value
Yeah.
for Tesla Corporation. This is why the transportation as a service network is so important, because that's how
Yeah.
an Optimus will get to your house to do a small job like that,
Okay.
and bring the glass cleaning robot that you ordered.
Yeah, Michelle, Robert doesn't want to answer the question about O2. What do you think?
This like is way too early, but the particularly funny bit about OpenAI this week was that Google released that you could anchor Gemini's results with Google search, and then 69 seconds later, because I have notifications on, OpenAI released search. So like they had it in the bag, ready, and as soon as Google said, "Oh, here's like you can have search with your AI," OpenAI dominated the news cycle. And you ask even AI so-called experts or influencers, "Oh, did you know that Google released like you can Google search with
Yeah.
Gemini?" It was kind of they
Yeah.
muted them.
Michelle, yeah, I don't know about that, but let me ask you
The
something, Michelle. So
runway
OpenAI,
the
Robert,
thing is
sorry, Robert.
important.
I'm talking. Can Robert not hear me? Robert, can you hear me?
Sorry, the runway announcement is important.
I don't think Robert can hear me, so I'm going to move him down and then bring him back up. Give me 1 second, everybody.
I still can't hear, so I'm going to restart my phone.
Okay. Michelle, can you hear me? Uzi?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Michelle, OpenAI introduced Search GPT, like you said. Why do I have to select if I'm going for the searching for the web or using the regular ChatGPT 4.0 when I'm typing in? Can't it just know I'm looking for real-time data?
It does, and it's annoying when it does, but you didn't meant to. So the trigger, like the automatic trigger, is not trigger happy. So like if you and I found it the other way kind of a burden having to explicitly say as a paid ChatGPT user, oh, look it up on the web, or like have something really explicit in my prompt that would make it do a web search. Now it's fun that there's this toggle, and it's also paired with a Chrome extension, so they're really going for the jugular, trying to have people. It's the Chrome extension works on any Chromium browsers or even Edge or whatever. You install the extension, and when you open a new tab and type something in the address bar instead of a Google search, it does the ChatGPT search. And I've used it all week. It's very powerful, and this toggle is just more fun because you don't have to make it part of your prompt that you want web results. It's just a button you can click.
Yeah. I mean, I personally don't even use Google anymore. I stopped using Gemini about a month or two ago, and I don't even use Google anymore. I kind of just use ChatGPT for pretty much everything. Uzi, Palantir announced earnings, and the stock is up quite a bit. Would you like to summarize it for us in a couple few sentences that hopefully related to AI news?
Yeah, they crushed earnings. I think their revenue was up about 30% year over year. I think growth was like 23%. I did make a Notebook LM, and I wanted to dive into that, but then Rogan and Musk came out, so I watched that. But I think that a lot, like before they had their earnings transcript, a lot of the fanfare was about how the AI movement is accelerating right now, and there's the Nvidias of the world that are the picks and shovels, and then you have, I guess, your first wave adopters that provide AI based services instead of software as a service, so like AI as a service, and that's Palantir, and they're doing that on really well commercially, and then for the military, they just launched a new program, I think.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Uzi, and we can talk about that more tomorrow as well. Michelle, have you looked at Perplexity AI's election information hub?
No, I mean I just
Let me
sit on the
just
sidelines
read it.
here from
That's
Canada.
fine. You could just say no, and I can move on. Perplexity AI launches Election Information Hub. Perplexity AI introduced a new election information hub powered by AI, providing voters with AI-generated answers to their questions and summaries of candidates. On election day, the platform plans to offer live vote counts using data from the Associated Press. However, some inaccuracies have been noted in the AI-generated content, highlighting the challenges of using AI for critical information dissemination. Yeah, this AI has been kind of being criticized quite a bit in the recent weeks about election information. So this is interesting that Perplexity is kind of taking it head on, and other companies won't even try. Like Gemini won't even answer anything. And I mean, I had a situation a few weeks ago when I was using Gemini for summaries of my daily spaces, and we had like a 5-minute segment on election just a couple of months ago. And Gemini refused to summarize a 2-hour space because it said something like Trump or something in one of the words. It's crazy. I mean, it's one of those things that kind of made me like, I was like, I can't, this is ridiculous. I can't use this product. Robert?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, that it came out after I voted. And so I wasn't really incented to use it. And that's too bad. It would have been really helpful a month ago. But this is a huge need. You're absolutely right on. Google none of them answered any of the questions I asked, particularly about local candidates, because we all know about Trump versus Kamala, right? We don't know who the judge is or who the school board or person running is, right? And finding information on those people is next to impossible.
Yeah, exactly. Uzi?
Yeah, I think his name is Arvin. He's an extremely ambitious individual. I think Stanley Druckenmiller is an investor in Perplexity, and a lot of the framing is that Perplexity is going to come after Google. And so I just saw today, for instance, this is quite relevant, is that Perplexity offered to use AI to replace New York Times writers that are on strike. And so you can see that I think the aim for Perplexity is to get into politics, but as a, you know, as a better obviously as a better news source, but as a maybe less biased news source than a mainstream media. So I
Okay.
think they're extremely ambitious.
Okay, great. Michelle?
You talk about the limitation with Gemini, but like there's also a political limitation when interacting with OpenAI and the huge user. But with this explicit like web search toggle, it's instead of basing his answer to my question on his model, it's going to lean on sources, and it's a little bit more permissive to go into delicate subjects because it's linking to sources, and look, it's not OpenAI, ChatGPT that's saying this. Is like this is the sources I pulled from, and that's the information. So I noticed that OpenAI was able to go a little bit further by using this web search feature.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. All right, next topic. And I don't know if you guys know this, but today we kept Tez alive really tight and moving. And a couple of people in live chat noticed, and I kind of want to keep it that way. I think 1 to 1.5 hour, 1 hour to 1.5, 60 to 90 minutes tops. And unless there's like really great detailed discussion going on, we can keep it going.
Am I talking over Yaman, or is it broken?
Yeah.
I think you're
Yep.
back.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on here. This app is really freaking out today. Michelle, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, what do you think about NVIDIA rumors potentially investing in XAI?
Well, I see it more as the opposite. XAI just finished putting together their huge NVIDIA data center, and they just want more. And then they're probably ready to part some equity and partner with NVIDIA to have more compute. But instead of paying cash, they would give NVIDIA some equity, because that's also the way OpenAI had access to a huge amount of compute, was with partnering with Microsoft. So like you gotta partner with your AI compute provider to save on cash, and they become a team player, part of the organization a little bit.
Yeah, that would be insane. I mean, that would be amazing if NVIDIA gets equity stake in XAI. Uzi, do you think that's going to happen?
I mean, is Tesla going to get an equity stake in XAI? I think that happens first, and I doubt that if it hasn't happened yet.
So you don't think NVIDIA will get an equity stake in XAI?
I would like it to happen. I'm an NVIDIA investor, and that
Uzi,
would
come on. The question is, it's a yes or no question. Do you
No.
think NVIDIA? Okay, that's a no. Robert, do you think NVIDIA will get an equity stake in XAI?
Weird things happen in the valley. I can't call that one.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Michelle?
They can do it publicly, or they can do it behind a contract that's behind closed door, that they're gonna have part of this profit in the future, and it's all hush hush.
Oh, come on. NVIDIA is a publicly traded company. They can't take an equity stake in XAI and have it hush hush.
But no, but they can have contractually the equivalent for a long-term supply contract type of, like, if XAI makes
Well,
profit,
that's very different,
Mm.
right? Long-term supply contract is a very different proposition than an equity stake. That's why I'm kind of like, equity stake is a big deal. I mean, especially for
Mhm.
Elon. As we all know, he wants to have kind of control over a lot of things. And a lot of the successful entrepreneurs that I worked with in my investment banking years, they are very, focused on control. So, in the MBA classes, they may teach a bit more kind of managerial type of stuff. You should have empathy and all that, but that's not what I've seen in the real world. I've seen people who are more detail oriented, micromanagers tend to succeed more. So, Robert.
Steve Jobs got a stock in Xerox when he got a visit and stole basically everything that became the Macintosh. It wasn't much though. So I guess the real question is, how big a pile is this other is NVIDIA gonna get?
Yeah.
Microsoft already has the big file. So,
Yeah. So Robert says he can't call it. Uzi says he doesn't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen either. Michelle, what did you give it a yes or no?
Yeah, I can imagine them having 5 to 20%, if they supply an incredible amount of compute over several years.
Oh my gosh, that would be incredible. Wow. If Elon gives 20% of XAI to NVIDIA for GPUs, that would be incredible. That would be huge news.
I mean, OpenAI went 50%, almost, more or less, 49 or something.
Yeah, but we're talking about Elon Musk here. Okay, we're not talking about some other dude. Like, I think that's the critical piece of this question for me is it would be a big deal if Elon gave 20% of the company to NVIDIA for some GPUs. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Maybe we can talk about some more tomorrow in Tesla Live. All right. We talked about OpenAI starting hiring a meta engineer to lead the robotics division. Robert is very excited about that potential competition for Optimus. We talked about OpenAI launching Search GPT. We talked about O1 and O2 from ChatGPT. We talked about Palantir earnings that Uzi gave us a few sentence overview. And We talked about Perplexity AI launching Election Information Hub. All right. Anything else we need to hit today? Robert, what else? Michelle?
The rumor mill is that lots of products were ready, but they are afraid to release it before election, and even the election process might dominate the news cycle for another week. So we might get more cool releases after the election, U.S. election craze kind of die downs and settle downs into something.
Yeah, I wouldn't be announcing anything tomorrow. It's going to be hard to be heard.
Yeah.
On one show we did last week, another show, a guy demonstrated the ChatGPT voice features in a very unique way. He got it to say all kinds of different voices, and he would tell it how to change itself while it's talking. It's really fascinating to play with the voice feature. So at some point we should really do a comparison of all the voice features once like Grok pops in
Okay.
and all that.
Yeah, we can. I mean, I use ChatGPT often, and I've downloaded and started using Apple Intelligence, but I don't really see a huge improvement in Siri so far. Maybe in future phones or future iterations of Apple Intelligence, it'll become more.
The
kind of-
18.2 is better.
Robert, please don't interrupt.
Sorry.
Maybe in future years it will become more prominent and more useful. But where will OpenAI and other like Grok will be at that point? So I think, like, from my perspective, ChatGPT is far ahead. I'm not convinced that some of the people that are leaving OpenAI is going to lead to a huge brain drain that slows down the growth of the company at this point. But I'm monitoring that risk for OpenAI and what that means for Tesla and XAI as well. Michelle?
Apple Intelligence it's kind of not super useful right now because they haven't turned on personalization yet, but they claim it will come, and that's what kind of makes ChatGPT so powerful with this memory feature. Before it was only based on your prompt engineering, then it was based on you customizing your custom instructions, but the memory feature unlocked a really personalized experience because it remembers stuff about you. And until you get that on the phone, it's kind of a super low power LLM that runs on your device for privacy reasons. But if it's able to customize it and remember my preferences, it is gonna get useful a little bit, but it's not useful yet.
Okay, great. All right. Anything else we need to cover today? I think that covers pretty much all of it. I think NVIDIA earnings are coming up, so we can talk about that in Tesla Live as well. That's going to be a big deal. Uzi?
Yeah, I know Scoble loves wearables, and he's sort of propagandized me to be fascinated with them too. Marquez Brownlee just released a video wearing the Meta Orions and the Snapchat AR glass goggles too. It's I don't know if you want to go into that now, but it seems like that could be a discussion, especially with Scoble. I know he loves that.
It's it certainly is interesting to me, particularly if they're AI driven. And I believe the next group of products is going to see a heavy use in AI. And I believe we're going to see virtual beings appear both in video games and in augmented reality, mixed reality in the world. It's an exciting time coming.
Uzi?
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't know. Maybe it's a James Bond movie where you have the glasses and you can see, have facial recognition and pull up a quick Google search with the glasses, know if they're a spy or not. But that's kind of the vision. I do think that there is this in-group, out-group problem that if you're wearing the glasses and you have a friend to play a game with, that's awesome. But if you're just like a normal person, like a not normal, but you're just a regular guy without the glasses and you're watching people use them, you'll be freaked out because they'll be like swinging their hands in the air, playing pong, and you're just watching them look like they're having like a schizophrenic break. So there might be some waves of social ostracization, and then potentially FOMO, where everyone has them, and then you feel left out.
Robert?
I wore Google Glass for a year to study this phenomenon, and it has very little to do with the camera, actually. It has to do with information asymmetry. And I learned this at Coachella when two guys in front of me wanted to get away from two guys behind me who had Google Glass on. And I started interviewing them. It's everybody had a camera there. So it wasn't about the camera. It was about they had a weird ass device on. They had it between them. So it introduced a new human contract problem where we all look at each other's eyes to build trust with each other, right? And it made them seem like a police state. They were worried that they were looking for people.
All right. Michelle?
I mean, it makes me remember when it was super weird to be that guy with the Bluetooth headset talking alone or on the street. And now it's just normal. People with AirPods do it all the time. But it took a long time for the society to change what's kind of considered okay. But as we move faster and faster, what took 10 years is going to take 3.
Yeah. All right. We're going to end it there today. We're going to continue tomorrow in Tesla Live. And next week in AI Amateurs, I'm going to focus a bit more on AGI. So this week was more about the week's news. I think we covered a lot. I highly recommend people listen from the beginning. And tomorrow, we're going to discuss some of the things that we discussed in the space in Tesla Live. And then next week in AI Amateurs, we're going to focus on AGI a little more. Thank you very much, everybody. I know Elon is hosting a town hall, and then there's a 2-hour podcast that just dropped with Joe Rogan as well. I want to watch that as well. And I will chat with you all tomorrow in Tesla Live. Take care.